All right, so let's get started. So we will start to look into Firebase. Okay, I have been mentioned this many times. So I know a lot of you probably already used Firebase before. And the motivation of Firebase is that we want you to have some kind of backend to support your mobile apps in a very easy way. Now, for those of you who have done the 480 project last semester, now we ask you to build a web service. Now, the web service has a front end, has a back end. A lot of you use Node.js, or some of you use Java, some of you use Python. And so you basically know how to write your own backend server with or without a database. And then you expose those HTTP APIs so that on the front end, you can call those through JavaScript. Now, in the past 2 times, we showed you how you can do the HTTP request using Flutter, using Dart. But then the key is you have to have those APIs available. Last time I showed you a Flickr API. It's a very well implemented API with nice features and documentations. And then last week I showed you the Google Map API, also a lot of good features to use. Of course, if your app just use those features, then that's perfect. But most of your apps will need some customized APIs backend to return some kind of different data. And then most of the time you need to figure out your own backend, right? So solution number 1, you can always build your own backend server, just like what you did for 480, and then you host it somewhere, you have a link, you have an HTTP API to use. But for mobile developers, okay, so a lot of people don't want to do that because it's going to cost a lot of effort to rewrite everything for the server. So we just want to have something really simple for us to use that covers most of the common used features. So that's how the Firebase was invented. So Firebase wasn't the only service. Before that, there was some kind of project called Parse. Okay, I don't know how many of you heard about that one. The very first one was called Parse. This one here, it's already gone. It was the startup company, and then it was acquired by Facebook at one point. Right now, you can still use that. Okay, they still have this Parse server, some kind of open source project you can use. It's something very similar to Firebase. And then later on, Firebase also came. Firebase has this really nice feature called real-time update. So you can have real-time database. We'll show you some of the features later. And that also got very successful. So Google acquired Firebase in 2014 or 15. So both are very successful projects. But the difference is the Parse, after being acquired by Facebook, they somehow discontinue to support it. Okay, where Firebase is actually growing really big. Now, when you go to Firebase, there are a lot of more features than before. So that's kind of a very common situation you see when a company got acquired. A lot of companies got acquired just like Parse. Okay, so big company bought the company, and then the smaller company is gone. And then some other situation, just like Google, a lot of times they bought this company, and the service has been integrated into Google service. So right now, Firebase is a very important part for the Google Cloud platform. Okay, so you might think, oh, of course, then Google is doing better, and then Facebook is just wasting all the, resources and money to buy this company and then don't use it anymore, right? But the truth is, it's not really Facebook is stupid that they don't know how to run the service. When we talk about acquisition, a lot of the times it's not just about you have such a good product, I want to buy and own it. In fact, if Facebook wants to build something like a Parse, they can build it probably within 1 week. A lot of acquisition happens because they want to acquire the member, the people. Okay, that's very common in today's tech world. So sometimes you see, oh, this service is gone, I use it. It doesn't mean that they don't know how to, expand or grow. They just want to either, hire the people, get the team, or they just want to get rid of some of the competitions on their way. So which there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, just different companies have different strategies. But when it comes to acquisition, it's not just that simple that I want this app. Okay, so there are different reasons. Anyway, let's take a look at Firebase. Okay, today I'm going to show you this demo. I just created this brand new project from scratch. Okay, this little demo project, make sure I can still run it. Okay, so it's a brand new project I created from Flutter. I want to show you how the setup process. Okay, so this, I don't know, for those who have done this, you probably have experienced some of the issues. Firebase already starts to support Flutter, but it's not well supported as Android OS. But fortunately, it's getting better and better. So let's go through this whole setup together so that you can see some of the issues, just in case you have some similar issue, you know, and how to solve those, okay? So let's go back, and then you basically need to go to the, if you Google Flutter Firebase, and then you can see a tutorial helping you to tell you what to do, how to set it up. Okay, so let's click on this link here. This is the link you should actually use and then to get things started. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this link. I'll keep all this link here in this repository. Okay, and then I'll clean up later. So let's go to this link here first. Now remember, Firebase can be used to support both platforms, but there will be different configurations for Android and iOS. So let's start with Android. That's something I would recommend. Okay, even you have a Mac, let's start with Android because it's relatively easier and then more support and documentation you can find. Okay, let's simply follow the whole steps here to get it set up. Okay, so step one, you need to create a Firebase project. So to do that, you have to go Firebase. Simply Google and make sure this is Google's Firebase. Okay, you go to the right side here. All right, so and then you simply go get started. From here, you will be able to create a project. All right, so let's create a new project and then just give a name. And I'm gonna do CS. Okay, so I don't have any other projects. Let me see if I can remove some of those. All right, so let me delete some of the project. Okay. Yeah, so let me just try it. Okay, if it's easy, I will do it. Otherwise, shut down. Okay. Try this one here. Let me try something else. See this one here, can I delete it? All right, so let me try this again. Hopefully it can work. Okay, so let me go back. I'll restart it. Okay, so go to the Firebase console. All right, so add a new project again. Yeah, probably won't work. All right, so I'm gonna just choose one of the projects that probably don't have the Firebase set up. Okay, so it's probably that project. What is that? Okay, I'm just gonna use this one. Okay, I don't know what that is. All right, so let's just create a new Firebase project, adding everything here, and then choose account. All right. Anyways, yeah, this looks like a brand new Firebase project. So you shouldn't have this issue as you had a lot of Google projects before. All right, so this is ready, and click on continue. All right, so you will get into this dashboard here. Okay, so for the Firebase in the very early days, they actually only have this database in the beginning, and then now they have expanded so much. They even have a lot of machine learning stuff for you to use, and everything they integrated here just make it so easy to be used, especially in mobile. For example, authentication. We're going to show you that example. You don't have to write your own backend server to worry about the security, and they provide everything for you. So very convenient. All right, so that's a step one. We have created this project. So let's go back and then see here. Step two, you want to register your app with your Firebase. Remember, this is specific to your Android or iOS platform. There's a different setup process. So let's go here, and then what you need to do is go here, click on setting. There is a project setting. Right. So from the project setting, you need to add your app here. So as you can see, they support iOS, Android. You can use that for web. You can also do that with Unity. Okay, so all this good support. I think sooner or later they will have a dedicated one for Flutter. But for now, I'm going to create an Android. All right, what's really important is this package name. Okay, so as they explain here, they tell you where to find out this package name. So if you're familiar with Android, that package name is a unique ID for this project, for this application. When you publish your app to Android Google Play Store, you need to make sure your package name is unique. All right, so to find it, they actually showed you all the descriptions here. So that's when you need to open this Android folder. Okay, so everything related with your Android code, framework, everything is under this folder here. So you could actually look at some of this Gradle file, and then actually the one in the app, okay? So there you should be able to see the package name, which is this one here, application ID, okay? So let's copy this one here, and then go back and then put it to this package name so that it will actually know which app is trying to talk to this server as an identifier. This is optional, this is optional, let's just register that. All right, once this is done, you need to download this JSON file. So this file simply is a credential file with all the keys and permissions. So if you want to open this file, take a look. All right, so that's the JSON file. As you can see, it has your project ID, the actual base URL, and also some other information like this package name for your mobile, some of the IDs, okay? So also the key. So this is the file that you need to import to your project so that your project can find out the right Firebase endpoint and server and have the credential to use it. So I'm gonna copy this file. All right, so this one here shows you where to put the file into your Android project. Remember, this is specific for Android. So you'll find out this application folder, app folder, and then put this file just under this app folder. So back to your Android Studio. So again, Android, this root folder, and then this is app folder, and then you just need to put your file right here, okay? Make sure you name it as Google Services, Google-services.json. Now, okay, and then you get your file here. So this is very important because for Android, it's going to look for this file under this folder for the credentials and also all the permission access stuff. All right, once you have this, click on next. All right, so you then need to configure some of the dependencies for the Android because for Android and iOS, they need different dependencies. Unfortunately, Flutter cannot really handle it by itself, so you need to do all of this. The good thing is they actually give you a very detailed explanation and step for you to add these things. So number one, you have to allocate this build.gradle file. So this file is under project. Okay, remember there are two Gradle files. There's one here, one here. So you need to add it to both, but then you need to figure out which one it is. This one is talking about a project build Gradle. So it's actually talking about this file right here, this one. So let's actually take a look at, make sure that you have the build script, repository, Google. Sometimes you already have it, like in this case, we already have it, so you don't need to change anything. Next one is this one here, Google-services. And I don't think we have it. So this one is under dependencies. I'm going to copy this one here and then put it here. All right, so they need the Google services. And then after that, you make sure the other one also has a Google, which we have. Right, so we're done with this configuration. Now move on. The next Gradle file is under the app, project app module. So they're talking about this one here. So under app view.gradle, okay? So this is more specific to the application, the dependencies. So what you need to do, yeah, you need to make sure you have this plugin called Android.application. So let's go back to the top. There is Android application, you already have it. Next, you need to have this Google services, we don't. So let's go here and then add this one to the plugin. Okay, right here. All right, and then you need dependencies here. You need to have the Firebase analysis. Let's just add it anyway. I don't think this is required. For the dependencies, just put it right here. All right, so you got all of this, and then eventually you can do the synchronize now. This synchronize is only shows up for the Android project. This is a Flutter project, so it's actually disable all the features. We don't need to worry too much about it. Okay, so let's click on next. And then here is just for you to run it so that it will know if you can talk to this application. So you don't need to worry about this one. Let's skip the step, okay? So now you get your Android project set up. And then we need to test it. Before we test it, let's see if we need to do anything else, right? So we got everything here, pick the name and set it up. And this configuration file, they're talking about exactly the same process. We already did. We actually did also this one, same, and all of this, all right? All right, finally, you need to add this Flutter plugins, okay? So this one set up your Android part that be able to connect and talk to the Firebase server. For the Flutter, you need to write the code using the Flutter SDK. So you need to add the Flutter SDK also into the project. So we need to do this one, very important, Flutter core library. So let's add this one to the Flutter project. So you go to the YAML file here, and then the dependency, put your Firebase core right here, okay, with this dependency. You must include this one. And then after that, if you need, for example, Firebase Authentication, you also need to add that one. So let's add it here. Right? So let's just use 2 and see how it works. All right? And that's kind of conclude all the setup process. However, I don't think it can run right now. Let's do this step by step. Okay, number 1, I need to get the packages. Once I change this file here in the Flutter IDE, I need to get the packages and download dependencies. Right? It looks like this one works. Now, secondly, let's run the application. All right, so I'm going to stop it and then rerun again because there are a lot of dependencies going on. Let's see if we can build this app. All right, previously it was working, but in many cases, in my experience, when I try this again, there will be all different errors. Let's see if we have anything this time. It may take a while. So basically, the tutorial from here and then inside the project are similar, but probably use this one as the master reference. Okay. While we're waiting, I'm gonna type. So this time actually it looks good, okay, but I don't know if it's gonna cause any problem later on, okay. All right, so this is the project being set up, okay. So it didn't have as many problem as before. I don't know if it's because I just created this new project this morning. There's some kind of bug fixes, but if you do see some of the errors, most of those are very common errors. Just Google it, you might be able to find some of the reference, but we'll see. But we haven't really used the code yet, so let's see how that works. All right. So right now, I have set up the Firebase project with the core, with also the authentication. All right. So today, the first time I'm going to show you is the authentication. How do you make a login and sign up? All right. So to do that, let's actually start to make a little UI here, which we did before. What we need is a kind of a text field. All right, so I'm going to get this code here. Let's see, text field. All right, so let's review this one. It's a very nice box. All right, so go back. Let's make and change the UI. So go back here, this column is perfect, that's what we need. And then the children here. All right, so I'm gonna do a text field, another text field. All right, so this one is for email, the other one for password. Okay, this one is false. All right, and then after that, I need a button. Let's just do a flat button. Singular the child, login. There's another one, sign up. Refresh the page. All right, so we got a two. One is login, the other is sign up. Okay, and the email password. So I'm gonna delete this part here. We don't need. And then this one here is logo. All right, just a very simple login screen here. All right, and then you can start typing your email and also your password. So once you click on sign in or sign up, it's going to talk to the Firebase server and then to do the interaction. Okay, so let's do the first step. So let's try to do the sign up first because you got to create an account first. Okay, when you click on sign up and then there is an on press, right? And you will need to provide the callback method, right? So for that, I think we can just do something like this. Right? Make sure this one works. All right, so I'm gonna click on sign up. Okay, so this one is the callback. All right, and then the first thing I need to do is to grab the email and password, right? So if you remember, you will need a little controller to do it for both text field. Okay, just kind of a quick review. So you need to build, I'm gonna delete this one, okay? We don't need it anymore. So I'm gonna build a email editing controller, which is text editing controller, this one here. All right, and then I need the next one, which is for password. All right, with these two controller, you could put them into the text field. Everyone will have a controller. This is email. And then this is password. So with this, you will be able to grab those. I'm going to delete this floating button. Those here. All right, so let's print email text to string. And then you also can do the password. Refresh, go back. So email, and then password. You can sign up, right? So you can get email and password. All right, so now the next thing to do is to send this to the Firebase and then really to save the account. All right, so let's see how to do it. Number one, let's go back to Firebase. Okay, take a look at the authentication. So once you set up your project, you can go back to the develop. All right, so you're going to use most of these features, especially its authentication and database. Okay, let's look at authentication first. Okay, as you can see, this one already built the whole security system for you, including how to hash your password, how to make sure the users are unique, all of those. So first of all, you have to enable it. So let's do the setup and sign in method. As you can see, they actually support a lot of sign-in approaches. Besides the typical email password login, you can also do Google, you can do Facebook, Twitter, GitHub, all of those. Very, very convenient, okay? It can make your development so much easier. Trust me, if you don't use this one, if you do your own Google login by following Google's tutorial, it's actually a lot of work. And also, you need a different process for both Android and iOS. So Firebase really simplified that. Today, I'm just going to show you the simplest one, which is the email password. So let's go here to enable this one here. And then next one is to enable email link. I'm not sure what this is. Let's just not do it right now. Let's save it. So you enable this kind of login, all right? And then another thing you need to figure out is this usage. No, you don't need that one. Okay, sorry, I was wrong. So we don't need that. Just need to enable the email and password. All right. So once you have this, you can start to use the Firebase Authentication SDK to interact with this service. Now remember, go back to the server here. We added this Firebase Authentication SDK. So that package has all the code you can use to talk to the server. Okay. Now we need the documentation. It doesn't have very clear documentation. Okay, now later on I figure out the best way to do is this. Let's try to search for Firebase Authentication Flutter package. So if you do Flutter, make sure you can find the right one. So this is the link, I think. Yeah, so this is pub.dev that contains all the official published package, right? So this is for the Firebase Authentication. Let me record this URL here in our documentation so that later on you can see it. All right, now it actually explained what you need to do. This one is similar, and this one also showed you how to use the plugin. So this is the very useful. Okay, so most of the time you just need to use this part as examples, and then if you do need to look into the actual specific API reference, there is a link here called API reference. Actually, it took me a while to find it. So this is very useful. It actually shows you also exactly all the examples and then more details. Okay, but anyway, the documentation for the packages, you need to look into this part here. Sometimes it shows under examples. Sometimes it shows under this link here with the example code. This is also very helpful. That give you a working example with all the library and package. All right, so these are the main places you need to start looking to the reference. Otherwise, you don't know where to get started. So one more time, go back, look at the README file first. If you see a lot of this concrete example, that's the best thing to do. Okay, as you can see here, it shows you how do you use this, what to import, what kind of library to class to create, and then how do you handle the login and sign in stuff. All right, so let's try this. So what we need to do is go back. If you click on the button, now I got your email and password. I'm going to sign up with that email and password. All right, so let's see what to do. So go back here. Let's look for something about authentication. Now this example shows you how to do the authentication using Google, and then we don't need that, but we need something here to create a user with email and password. This is exactly what we need. All right, so let's do this step by step. Now, first of all, you need to get this Firebase Authentication dependency. So go back to the main file here. Let's get a dependency. You already have the dependency, so it's going to work. And then in your class here, we need to add our Firebase Authentication class. I think it is called this one here, as you can see. All right, so Firebase Authentication, and then we can make it private. And then this one will be Firebase Authentication.instance. All right, so that's how they can return the actual instance to use. Just follow example. If you're familiar with this one, they use something called a singleton pattern. I don't know if you learn about that design pattern. It's just instead of creating a new object, they just give you this instance for you automatically. Probably it's just one instance shared by the whole application. You can mark it the final. That's just good practice, but it's not required. All right, so with this one, you can have a lot of methods to use. All right, let's try it. So go with the authentication. Now go back to here. All right, so let's do this. Authentication dot. All right, so you can find all this good method to use. Without looking at the documentation, you probably can figure out what to do. Create user with email and password, a very good method. As you can see, this is the best example of a good method name. Okay, we talk about naming convention, best practice, clean code in the 4-day class, right? So this method is long, but it's actually tell you exactly what it does. You don't even need to look at documentation. Create a user, and also you need to provide an email and password. So this is the best kind of a naming, because it saves even the comment. You don't need to provide the comments. The developer look at that, they know exactly what to do. And then you can also see they need the parameters, email, and also passwords. Very clear. So that's how you should name your method. Okay. This one, current user, probably return to the current user. This one to fetch sign-in method. So look at what kind of method you can do with the Firebase, maybe. There's an email link, some other things. send password reset email. Okay, if you want to reset email, reset a password, you can do this kind of typical approach. As you can see, everything has been integrated. You don't need to implement your own thing. They even do the language code, sign anonymously, sign with a credential, verify phone number. Probably you can do some kind of text messages. Everything is beautiful. Now think about if you build your own backend service to do all the password reset, phone number verification, probably take you a quarter to really finish it. And besides, once you're done, you don't know how secure it is, all right? But everything is already provided here by Firebase, so it's really convenient, okay? Finally, you have to sign in with email and password. That's probably what you need to do for the login, all right? But let me show you how to do the sign up. Very easy. Let's just do this one called a create a user with email and a password. As you can see, they just need to provide 2 parameters. One is the email, one is the password. And then the nice thing about Dart is they use this new kind of a method approach that you provide the key so that it doesn't matter which order. You can do the password first as long as you indicate the key here, okay? So in our case, the email comes from here, right? Too long, let's just cut the line. And then the password comes from here. Right, that's it. All right, so one line of code does the sign in for you. But you should know the whole thing is implemented by Firebase, okay? So that's called a backend as a service. You don't need to do your backend, you use their service. Now, but then we need to look carefully about this one. What does it return? Okay, so let's take a look at maybe the documentation here. All right, so again, it returns a authentication result. All right, so let's see what's the authentication result. You go here, it gave you, looks like they gave you some kind of user stuff, user information, which is expected. If you create a user, you should get some kind of user information, all right? But more importantly, I want you to be aware that this one, authentication result, is wrapped with a future. Again, all right? So again, you will use this future very, very frequently in Flutter, in Dart, okay? Because when you see this one, it means that you can call this method in an asynchronized way, which means that you specify the callbacks, you don't have to wait on it, all right? So very easy, let me repeat this one more time. If this one gives you a future, all right, what you can do is this. You can capture the result. I already said that this is called authentication result. Something like this. Now, when you have this, what you can do is you can specify what kind of callback you want. If your authentication, if your sign up is successful, what do you do? If it's not, what do you do? So you do that by saying, okay, if this one is successful, and then it will tell you what kind of result you will have, and this one is just a value. So I'll just call it value, and there's a callback here. Otherwise, catch error, and then something is wrong. I'll just save the error here. Okay, so this kind of structure you see it very often. Okay, as you always say, this is a callback because you specify a block here. If this is successful, then you do this. If this is error, then you do this part here. All right, so that's what the future means. Because when you do this one, what the code is do is they go here, 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 and then when they see a future, they run it, but then they don't wait on the result, they keep going. And then later on, your result comes back, and then it will go back to execute. So this makes your app running smoothly without being blocked by this time-consuming operation. All right. So if you understand that one, you don't have to do this one. All you need to do is just put this together. Okay, so I can just do this one here, and I can do then. Same thing here. And then dot catch error. All right, so you don't need to create a variable for this. Just connect together. All right. So this way, the code is really clean and very easy to read. I don't think the indentation is good. Let me do it this way. Okay. As you can see, you trigger a call with a parameter, just wait on the result. If it's successful, you do this, otherwise you do that. All right, so let's try this. Print successfully signed up let's print the information. The value here, there should be a user information user. We got a user here. And then let's just try user. I think that's the one to go. They have all the information about the user. The most important thing is something about the user ID, which is this one here. All right. So if you do sign up the account correctly, you will see a unique ID return from the backend service. Otherwise, and then you can also print out error, what error is. Okay. It's very, very simple and clean. Okay, so let's try this. All right. Run this again. All right. So I'm gonna test. Let's do a email and then password 12345. I'm gonna click on sign up. All right. So as you can see, this time I click on sign up. This one got executed, and then it's just not returned. Nothing showed up. It doesn't say successfully. It doesn't say it's failed. All right. So this is one very common issue I saw in the past. Now I know exactly what happens. But then if you do see this one, you should start to kind of allocate and then try to identify the error. Okay. Now, if you do see this one, as you can see, if this is failed, we're supposed to see this one here, but we're not seeing it. And obviously it's not successful. Otherwise, we're also going to see something here. And then this line got executed. So this line must be executed as well, but we're not really seeing anything. So when you see this one, most likely it's because this one is still going on, still running. It takes a long time to be done. But for Firebase service like this, it shouldn't take, oh, right now you can see here, failed to sign up because the network request failed, a network error happened. Okay, it takes about half a minute. In general, it shouldn't take that long. So when this happens, you should see why it should take that long. And then you can start to kind of Google and then see, eventually you will find like actually here, you see my emulator here. This Wi-Fi is not connected. All right. So I don't know how this happened. Sometimes it does. Okay, you can look at some solution. There's nothing you can do. Just simply close the emulator, and then close your Wi-Fi. I think. Let's try that. Okay, and then go back here. There's some kind of a setting. All right, there. And make sure anything here. Yeah, let's just, I think just restart it. Oh, it's now remember, code restart, code boot. Yeah, this one. And now the Wi-Fi is back. All right, so it should work right now. So let's run this one more time. All right, so that whole fix, just Google it. You will find it. If you Google the Android emulator, no Wi-Fi, and they will tell you exactly what to do to fix it. All right, so this time the app starts again, and let's try to sign up. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I click on sign up. All right, click on again, and then it sends. Now this time it's really fast, okay, because the Wi-Fi are connected, but still failed because weak password, okay? The given password is invalid. Password should be at least 6 characters. As you can see, this is the message returned by the Firebase Authentication. All right, so look at that one, and you can change it. You can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, I'll do one more, and I'm gonna sign up again, and successful sign up, and then this is your user ID. All right, to prove that, you should always go back to your Firebase dashboard. Look at here, users, just refresh, and then you got this user right here. All right, so started register in the backend. Now you click on the user. I don't know if you can see any details, but that's it. Okay, you know the email, you know when was it created, and then when was the last time signed in. You also know the unique ID, but you don't know the password. It's already hashed. All right, so you know, even as the owner, you can't really figure out the password. So this is very secure. You know, they even give you the last sign-in time for you to manage it. And this unique ID is the one you actually see it right here. So every user has a unique ID you can use. All right, so everything has been taken care of by Firebase Authentication. To use that, it's just that simple. All right, so set up, call this method, and email, password, and then give the feedback. Sorry, the callback. And then if you understand that one, sign in is exactly the same way. So go to login, on press, callback, authentication, sign in with email and a password. Email, same thing. Password. All right, it's a future callback. Then catch error. You can't forget about the error catching, because if something goes wrong, you don't know what happens. Okay, make sure you print something. Failed to log in. This one. All right, so that's you log in. Now we can even do like if you log in and then we go to the next screen, right? So I'm gonna let me just copy and paste this one to go to the home. And then when you create a second screen, guys, one more time, okay, you don't need this one anymore, okay? One application, only one main method. You also don't need this app class, which has this material app, all the same data. This one is only also one configuration per app. Every screen, if you do this kind of stateful screen, you only need 2 classes, one here and one state. All right, so let me change the name here very quick. My next. All right, so this part here, let me just show you. Next. All right, and then here you can say that if it's successful, and then we're gonna go to the next screen. Okay, I can't remember how to do the next screen. So Flutter, open a new page. All right, so next one page. So go to my next page. All right, and then this one is my next page. Oh, sorry, wait. That was wrong. All right, so this one you need a title. All right, so but then this one, you only do it if you successfully log in. All right, let's run it again. All right, so I'm gonna create a new user. So user 1, the password. All right, so it's successful. And now I go back. Now let's see, I have 2 users right now. All right, and then come back here. I'm gonna log in. All right, the password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I try to log in and failed, all right, the password is invalid or user doesn't have a password. And then if I change it to the right password, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I try to log in. All right, once it's successful, you go to the next screen. All right, so that's how the login and sign up works. Pretty much just one line of code. Right? But you need to make sure you understand the future. Okay, very, very important concept. And another thing you need to know is once you log in, you can always find out what's your current user. Okay, so this one has a very important method. So let me show you in the second screen, okay, in the home screen, for example, if you want to see here, let's say, okay, welcome your user, right? So I'm gonna do this one here, the variable current user. All right, so let's do this one. So you could just show this one. All right, so this just show a user's name in the next screen. Okay, let me just delete all the others just to make sure it's not confusing. All right, so to get the current user, there are different ways. One way is you could just simply pass it through your constructor. So for example, because previously here, you have already get the actual user. So you can simply pass that user over to the next screen. That's actually the preferred way to do it. To do that, you can pass that through the constructor. So you go to the next screen here, and you can see you could do one more. You can do final like fire. I think it's called a Firebase user. Okay, this one here. So you can make that one as also as your part of the construction. So with that, you can then pass the actual user here. User will be the actual value dot user. All right, because this thing comes from the login. So then you can pass that over to the next screen. The next screen, when you got the user, you can then display that. So this one will be actually user. When you try to access the variable in the parent class here, you do something called widget dot user dot. I think you can have a display name. You can do that. I don't know what's going to show up here. Okay. Okay, so you can't do this one here, but we can make a construction. Let's make a constructor. Try. All right, something like this. And then I'll do the set state. All right, so that way you log in and you're gonna pass the user to the next screen, and then when you receive it, it's gonna receive display right here. Okay, so let's try. So go back. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do login. Successful, and then let's see here. All right, I think something wrong with the way we do it here. It's about when do we use the widget? All right, let me now do the state first and see if that actually fixes it. So get user was called on null. Which part exactly? Oh, it's actually right here. Okay, so this one is null. Did we pass it correctly? So this is user. Okay, so I'm gonna try the user ID. This is probably just a string. So if that makes any change. Just to simplify some of this object passing. I actually can't explain some of those errors yet. All right, let me try one more time. So email. It's still null. Let me print that, yes. It looks like the widget is null. So does that mean we can't really call this one in the constructor, maybe? All right. So it's okay. So my guess is you can call it here. Okay, that's something I can't explain it yet, the actual mechanism, but let's try this one. I guess this one might work. All right, let me try one more time. Yeah, that one does work. Let me show you one more time. Okay, so this one here is the user, and then you log in, go back, you're passing that long user ID over to the next screen. But anyway, so it looks like something wrong with the constructor. The constructor cannot really access the widget reference yet. It's too early. Some kind of a status issue. Okay, but yeah, that's how you can pass the value from the first one to the next one. Another thing you can do is without passing it, you can always get the actual current user anywhere in the program. So this one here provides you a method. So let's try this one. Okay, so there's a authentication dot current user. Okay, so this is a very convenient method, but this one also is a future. So you have to do then. And also catch error. Same thing. So you can also do this one here. All right, so if you do get it, so user.uid, and then you can assign it to here. And then let's just do the set state. So here to say fail to get the current user. All right. So if we do that one, okay, I'm gonna, I will not use the other one here. I will change it to current user. All right. Initially is unknown. Let's run this again. All right, so try one more time. Log in, and you will still see the same information. But this time, I didn't use the one you pass through the constructor. I just using this call here called current user. So this is very convenient that in any program, if you want to get the current user, you can always call this one. Basically, it shows the login user. Okay, so it's very easy to use. All right. But of course, the better way is to actually cache this one somewhere in the program so that you don't have to call the server to get this one. All right. So that is how the login and sign up works. Now, today I think we're very lucky. I don't know if because the Android Studio or Flutter fixed some of those issues, but previously, every time when I add the Firebase dependency, there's something to do with the Android project, okay? But just keep that in mind. If you do see some of the weird issues, it's pretty typical. Just Google this, the messages. You sometimes need to go back to change some of the Gradle files. I remember one of them was about adding something here about the way to build the software. Another one is something called Android X. So you might see that kind of error. They ask you to turn your Android into Android X compatible, which is one of the latest versions. So if you do see those errors, follow the step to try it. You can get things built, all right? But looks like if you just create a new project recently, it actually fixed a lot of those, make it really, really simple. All right. Any questions? Yes. Yeah, you should definitely try to use that one. But it obviously need a little bit more setup. For example, the Google login probably need to put the key inside the project setting in Firebase. But follow the tutorial. Okay. There are examples. So for those, if you go to this library, some of the library here. So let's Google Flutter Firebase Authentication. Try to use the examples. So the way to find an example is here. You go to the example, and then you go to this one here, and then they do give you this example with different, you can check out this project as a Flutter project. So they have a main sign-in page. I think they may have sign-in with Google. You can see this one here. So that's probably the better reference to show you complete running example on to do different things. Yeah. So, but again, those Google, Facebook sign-in maybe takes a little bit more effort. Just keep that in mind. So I wouldn't prioritize that one. If you try it works, it's perfect. Otherwise, don't stuck on those login. Okay, try to move on. Keep it in. You can always go back to add more login, sign-in message. All right. Any other questions? If you know how to do this one, the database is the same thing. Database, you don't use Firebase authentication packet. You use Firebase database or Firestore, which is the newer version of the database, to do that. All right, but it's all the same approach. Add dependency, look at the sample code, and then connect to your code. Most of this SDK use the future because it's all talking to the server, so it's always asynchronized. So if you understand Firebase well, if you just know the simple login, and next week we talk about Firebase database, you are good to go with, I would say 95% of your features for your app. If you know UI, if you know the server, that's it. Okay, that's all about app development. Of course, other topics will be how to make the data part more, efficient. You don't want to call the server all the time. You want to cache that a little bit locally. And then also some of the specific feature about the mobile, but the core part of mobile development is just about the front end and then now back end. Okay, so it's not really that overwhelming. Okay. All right. So keep working on the app. Okay. So I will See you next week.